with that, this is first part is birthed out of a conversation that I had with somebody who was really unaware of Todd McFarlane's like breadth and scope on Amazing Spider-Man prior to the Spider-Man series, the 1990 Spider-Man series he's familiar with, but he wasn't familiar with the run on Amazing, which is really what made him famous because it's really this run, these issues where things turned, I want to say super celebrity, but that's kind of what happened. So let me go back one issue because 298 is the first issue. So this is the first time Todd McFarlane is on Amazing Spider-Man. You can see here, this is black suit Spider-Man. It's the alien costume. That's what's going on here. I'm not going to spin my wheels too much with the art because I want to get to the most crucial comic book. Here's one that I had this book forever in a day. And then you get to the one. This is the gem. So this is Amazing Spider-Man 300. Well, it's definitely among the 2 or 3 most valuable of the uber modern comic books. It's one of the most sought after. It changes hands constantly. It's the first full appearance of Venom. Venom is in a panel in the end of the previous issue, but this is like the first appearance of Venom. This is the one everyone sought after because this cover is just rock and roll. It's a beautiful cover. It is also very expensive because, as you can see here on the left of the spine, you can see that's a lot of black. Now, we've talked about a lot of white and a lot of black on a comic book lends itself to a lot of imperfections, shall we say. So therefore, higher grade comics or issues are going to be much more expensive. And by the way, this whole McFarlane run, I believe, has been reprinted in an omnibus. I think it was like $100 when it dropped. I don't know what it's going for currently. Very expensive, but you can get this digitally. You can get smaller runs and things like that, and you can probably get reader copies. Except for this issue, this is going to be an expensive book pretty much around the board. Now, to give you an idea of how great this art is, Venom first off, I have to say, they did such a great job of setting the story up because you actually felt like, is Venom going to hurt Mary Jane for this? Like this, when you have that cliffhanging ending, and this is how we find her. We find her in just complete hysterics, melting down. But look at the intricate details on her clothing and in her hair. It's just incredible. So when Peter comes home, she's freaking out even more so because she's been sort of attacked and scared by Venom himself. So that's kind of what happens here. And then, of course, I don't want to spoil too much with the story, but I want to get into a little bit. By the way, this is how they're drawn when they're together. This is not this. I just want you to understand, if you grew up with this as your Spider-Man and you fast forward to Tom Holland and Zendaya, okay, can you at least admit and say, oh, I can see why fans don't see it the same way, right? Look at how they have Peter and look at how they've drawn Mary Jane. Okay. Yeah. And there he is in action. And again, this web, this design, the way his body is drawn to be so much more fluid and nimble, like an insect could be, like an uber acrobat, like just uber flexibility and things like that. So that's pretty much how it shakes out. And then, of course, Mary Jane is like eager to get him out of that suit. And that's so they begin their run with 301, where things change radically. And now he has the red and blue back. And again, it's a beautiful cover, but it is white. Notice the white on the edge there. Not easy to find in super high grades. So again, some of these are very, very expensive for that reason. Now, the story, if you're in it for the story, no, the story is not as action-packed and dramatic and intense as you may expect it to be. It takes a minute for some of that to kind of kick in because they're really kind of establishing what their Spider-Man's going to kind of look and feel like, what the relationship with Mary Jane's going to be, how Peter's going to try to manage everything. So you've got a couple issues. Here's where Silver Sable comes back. So you have a little bit of that as we have some story that kind of gets flushed out for a couple issues. This beautiful cover, Silver Sable's right there. But look at Sandman. Look at the detail in the sand coming alive right there. And I don't think it's noted here, but there are, when McFarlane does his art on these covers, there are a lot of times where he'll have He'll draw the issue number in the bottom in the box with the issue number in spider, leg, and webs. And he'll have if he has his name, he'll have a circle around his name with how many spiders there are. Now, here on Sandman, you can see if you were to look at this issue, right, there's a spider right here drawn into the sand. So the details of the sand forms an outline of a spider. That's how intricate this stuff is. And it's incredible detail. Every step, again, Mary Jane, Mary Jane. But look at the detail of motion and activity with Sandman and stuff here. Okay. So this run continues to deliver issue after issue, just beautiful. This is kind of a generic cover for McFarlane, just so you guys know. Okay. Get to 305. Okay. Movement and action, but okay. But then it starts to pick up. We have our homage cover to Action Comics, Superman cover with the whole police car thing here. We get a little bit of that. McFarlane being a McFarlane. Before you get into Chameleon, right? Who kidnapped Mary Jane. Then you get into this. It's going to get interesting. Sticks and Stones are introduced, right? It's a little bit of a slow burn. We got 10 issues before it. Now we're going to get there. So we have Mysterio first. Mysterio is in here. Spidey fighting some regular, just being a regular neighborhood Spider-Man, right? Before you get into that. And then you end up with Goblin and Hobgoblin. Beautiful books. Lizard. Look at he drew hatching and stuff on all of the woodwork in that background. All of Peter's hair has coloring. There's a Santa Christmas episode issue. Before we get into some more crazy with Venom's going to come back, Hydra Man, and then we bring Venom back. So there's a Hydra Man first. We have some water and stuff. We have Venom coming back, but then we get to the cover. So this is, again, one of the most sought after books because of the first full cover appearance of Venom. So this run that I'm talking to you about, it's not only just these beautiful covers. So people that are into just covers want these books. People that are into just Venom want these books. People that are Spider-Man, they obviously want these books. People that are fan of Spider-Man versus a certain villain have certain books. So you can see how this is sort of like a seminal run over the course of a couple years. Where he just took off from like 88 to 90. And this is incredible. The detail that's in this. I mean, look at this. This guy has a tear in his shirt that's intricately drawn, and he has an outline here for a little bit of that little pot belly going on. That's how detailed this is with Venom attacking. Okay. A little closeout with Venom. You know. And then you have Scorpion. And then you have Rhino and more Scorpion. You have Backlash is there. So and there's tons of villains and things that are coming and going. But let me go back to that real quick. I want to show you that shot of this panel here. Look at how even the efforts and the energy that's put towards making interesting, fun credits and details. Okay. So this is called Assassination Plot. And this is kind of what was being released around the time that I was buying comics in real time, because I started kind of in 89 with the Batman movie, as I've talked about many, many times. So this is actually already started before that, right? So I was kind of playing some catch up. But this is kind of like Assassination Plot becomes more like I got this off the shelf. So I couldn't wait for this because, again, look at the art. I'm like, interesting experiment, Mr. Parker, ? And I'm like, what is he doing? Like, first off, I'm a science nerd. So I was like, what on earth? And I'm just down the rabbit hole, engaged with like, this is what Spider-Man's like now? Like him intricately making his web shooters, him jumping and leaping through the air, super hot Mary Jane, intricate details with Harry Osborn. Yeah. So this is Assassination Plot, which crosses over into all sorts of different things. Again, Sable's back. We're going to get to a cover you guys are going to like in a minute. And just look at the webs, just the webbing, the detail that's there. It's just such great work. It's just so much fun. Okay. Captain America, another big cover, holy cow cover, basically. This Assassination Plot part 4. This was huge. This was huge. This was a book I wish I'd bought 12 copies of this book. I love this look of Captain America. I think it's one of the most fun of this sort of time frame, being able to have, Cap in action by Todd McFarlane. The other regret is I don't have more of it. This is him parachuting. And they do make him, a little bit of a little Spider-Man foot going on there. Not really quite the boot that you expect from Captain America, but you get a little bit of that. Then we kind of move into Sabretooth. A little bit of Sabretooth. How's that for you guys that are X-Men fans? Look at that. And you're going to get it. Look at that. Oh, it's coming. Red Skull. The final part of Assassination Plot. Red Skull with the torn flag right here. There's some Captain America in it. Everybody's mad. Oh, it's so good. And then you get like a kind of a filler issue in a way. Like, it's kind of like this is called Act of Vengeance. It's like a crossover story. See this thing here in the red on the right? They were doing crossover events. So you get a little bit of that here for a minute. I don't care for this because so let me go back one step here. So we're also transitioning now where Todd's wanting some time off. Todd wants to do his own thing. He's talking about leaving. There's already some of the conflict because there were 25 issues from 300, so now we're 27. We're 2 years into this. This book is like this massive selling book. So you end up going, all right, well, he's not going to work this issue, and he's not going to do this issue. And you can already tell this isn't McFarlane. Look at that. This is Eric Larson. Magneto's not quite done right. Now, I admit, it's still a fun article. I got to be honest. Compared to newer stuff, look at how different Mary Jane is, how different Peter is. Larson isn't as good at continuing what McFarlane had set up. Some of the designs and stuff I just didn't care as much for. But again, compared to now. And then you get this issue. And I think that what happened with this issue was Marvel had given the 2 issues off, which is 1 month because this book was coming out twice a month. And it was like McFarlane comes back. He uses his gray Hulk because he did write on Hulk as well. He did draw over on Hulk as well. And you're like, I want this guy to do everything. You were just like hooked, like, oh my gosh, like every detail, you just want more. So that's kind of where you ended up. And then you start to see, okay, now we're going to start getting into like, what are they going to do? Eric Larson's going to be the guy who's going to kind of take over. And he kind of cheats because he goes right to a Punisher story, which leads right into a Venom story, which are beautiful covers, by the way. But it's not McFarlane. It's just different. Okay. So that's a little bit of the backstory of the Amazing Spider-Man McFarlane run. All the covers. I can tell you this: if you just want to have fun, if you love that art, if you're really into the art first, this is going to be for you. If you're into that action, and if I think you want to understand also a lot of where folks are on our takes on Peter and Mary Jane and Venom and some of these, why our standards are the way they are. It's because if you look at these books, you'll see very clearly. And then you can see when it's not, it's like the bar gets raised. And so when the other people come in and they're not as good, the reaction is sort of amplified. And I think that's what we saw. So.
Yeah. Right? And I'm not playing no